Hello, everyone. Welcome to Academy of Astrology podcast. And once a month, I will meet Mandi and Marcus here. But today, Marcus is a little bit busy, so Mandi join me. Hi, Mandi. How are you?
Hi, Rod. Hello there. Happy New Moon Day. We're recording this on the 25th. I have to say, we have a special guest star on this podcast today. You can see him in the background, a beautiful little black and white tuxedo boy
Ah,
relaxing on the back of the sofa.
so so cozy.
Very cozy. Well, it's Moon in Cancer, isn't it? Come on, a new Moon in Cancer.
Indeed, indeed. So I
Comfort,
just
taking comfort in our pets and our home.
lovely, lovely.
All
So
going on holiday. Look at that tropical island in the background.
this is this is just background, and I just adopted with a Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, amazing.
I think it's all about this Cancer new moon to make you feel more relaxed because it's not
Yeah,
only the Cancer new moon, but also some moon are very close to Jupiter, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm taking this as quite a positive new moon, and
Mhm.
new moon that is much needed after a period of intensity, basically, is the word, both in the world and certainly in my life. And certainly, I know you've been crazy, mad, busy,
Yeah.
and I'm sure using this new moon period, which is last, I think we're going to be posting this on the 27th. We're still in that new moon period at that point. It's time to kind of rest and rejuvenate. It's time to sort of get into your comfort zone. And also, it's time maybe for an emotional reset because Cancer is a water sign after all. And I think what helps this new moon, we'll get into this a little bit more, I'm sure. What helps this new moon is that obviously the moon is very comfortable in the sign of Cancer. So that
Mhm.
encourages us even to go to our comfort zone, to reset emotionally, to have a little stretch and then another lie down again, just like the cat's just done there.
I would notice that.
And also, traditionally, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer as well. So that ups the ante in terms of the opportunity to really kind of take advantage of the best that this new moon can offer.
So new moon is a time for the starting for a seeding moment. So what kind of what kind of event or what kind of things we can put the seed on the soil?
Yeah, it's always every new moon, whatever sign it's in, is the start of a new lunar cycle, which is only just short of a month long, unless it's an eclipse. This one isn't. Eclipses have longer shelf lives, as we know. We always talked about. So it's a time really to review your goals and set your intentions for the month to come. And with Jupiter at this new moon in Cancer, maybe we have to think about what's the vision we've set ourselves,
Mm.
because Jupiter likes to think big. So
Hmm.
maybe you're thinking about expanding your horizons,
Uh-huh.
but at the moment this really is a time to set your own boundaries. So what are the boundaries? Jupiter doesn't always respect boundaries,
No.
but Cancer is can be quite, particularly emotionally and
Hmm.
also physically as well, a boundary sign. So where are your boundaries lie? How far can you go? How far do you want to go? How far will you let other people push you as well before you kind of retreat and
Mm.
set clear boundaries? So that's I think a hint really for this full moon. It's about also nurturing. So nurturing yourself
Mm.
is very important. Being kind to yourself, nurturing yourself, indulging yourself. I mean, there might be a little bit of comfort eating going on as well, potentially. Moon in Cancer, Jupiter in Cancer, but really nurturing yourself and also thinking about how you nurture others. Do you
Yeah.
overdo any of these things? Do you overdo the comfort eating? Do you overdo the sort of hiding away to make yourself protect yourself and feel safe? Because that's feeling safe and protected is another emotion, particularly emotionally, is another theme for Cancer. So it's time really to sort of review that as well. And I think another theme potentially for this new moon in Cancer, because it's a dark of the moon, because things are quieter, although it might not seem that way at the moment in certainly in the world, but things there's a sense of a little bit of a calm period. Hopefully not calm before the storm, but there's a sense of a calm period.
Hmm.
Don't forget we still have that intensity in the chart because Uranus is still stuck at 29
Oh,
degrees
yes.
of Taurus. So we are going to have a little bit more intensity, and we're going to talk a little bit, aren't we, about
Yes.
in a few days' time, actually, not that long off when Uranus goes into Gemini. But going back to this new moon in Cancer, it's that intensity of this intensity of emotion that we might be feeling. So going within, reflecting, resting, rejuvenating, doing what you can to have an emotional reset, even if
Mm.
it's as simple and as quick as doing a little bit of a process to emotionally regulate yourself. I mean, one of the things that I find really useful is kind of breathing exercises are always good if you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed. Box breathing is really good, where
Mhm.
you breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4,
Mm.
hold it for 4, and then and then repeat, and do that. And that basically calms your nervous system down. So I
Mhm.
think that might be something that might be useful to do. The other thing I think might be useful to do, it's a water sign. Just be, well, you're there. Look, you've got water behind you. Just looking at that. Just looking at that. I know you're not actually there. I'm not there. I'm at home, very Cancerian with my
Yeah.
cat who a lot of comfort and a lot of love and joy, which is a love. So whatever brings you comfort, love, and joy. But being near water, drinking lots of water, having a
Mm.
shower, having a bath, bathing is also actually quite grounding and quite calming, can be quite grounding and quite calming as well. So that's another thing that you could do to protect yourself as well, to help yourself feel sort of safe and nurtured. Old memories, old emotions might come up for release during this reflective new moon time that has a little bit of a touch of intensity to it because of Jupiter adding to it, and also that Uranus, although it's not connected directly to the new moon, it's still kind of it's still there in the chart. So old memories and old emotions that might be holding you back, that might feel like it might be time to let them go. It might be time to work on maybe forgiving yourself or others around
Mm.
that, and processes that you can go through to that as well. Also, you can get some help on that if you need it during this time. So there's a few things, and then the other thing is that it's actually in a square this new moon
Oh,
to the
yeah.
to the Saturn Neptune conjunction, which is early in Aries. So maybe that's we talked about the reset of your goals and intentions. Maybe it's a reset of your ambition.
Hmm.
Maybe things haven't gone the way you wanted to, or things feel like they're crumbling a little bit. So there's that reset. It's also the opportunity for a practical creativity as well, I think, for sort of doing something practical and creative as well with some of this energy going forwards. And then the other thing I think that's important to mention is that it's sextile, this new moon is sextile Mars in Virgo.
Mm.
Now, Mars in Virgo isn't very happy. I mean, it's a sextile aspect. So it's an opportunity to work with it, and you can work with it a little bit more easily. But Mars in Virgo speaks to, if we're going into this dark of this moon where things are more reflective, where we can't see what's going forward, and maybe dealing with what's happening in the past a little bit, old things from the past coming, you might experience your kind of inner negative voice, your inner critic. So
Mm.
again, it's about working with that and trying to release that, not
Mhm.
denying it, because Cancer can go into its shell and put up the walls and just go, I'm not going to deal with this, it's too difficult. But actually just listening to that inner critic, maybe even having a little healthy argument with it,
Yeah, yeah.
thanking it for coming up, thanking it for showing
Yes.
you what you might need to work on or what you might need to release. So that's a way you can probably work with that. Also, I think more on the world stage, we can pay attention, just watch and listen and feel, pay attention to the moods.
Hmm.
How are people talking? How are
Yeah.
people disagreeing with each other?
Hmm.
How are people criticizing each other? what's the mood, the general mood of the general people, the general public. And I say that because the moon is about the mood of the people. The
Yeah.
sun is about, the leaders, the
Yes.
authority, the government. So what's the mood? How does the mood of the people match the mood of our leaders, the world leaders,
Yes.
and our etc. So that's another thing to sort of look out for. So yeah, there's quite a few things. Belonging, if I haven't mentioned that already, is another strong sense of a strong theme for Cancer. So where do I belong?
Mm-hmm.
We might feel, oh, do we belong? We might feel, if you're maybe feeling this Uranus really strongly in your chart because you're having that Uranus is transiting your chart.
Yeah.
You might feel a sense of, I don't know where I belong. I need to change. I'm not sure. There might be sort of stress around that.
Yes,
But
indeed.
what we want to but the way we want to think is that we belong to ourselves at the end of the day. We belong to ourselves, and to be that unique person that we actually are, that we were kind of born to be. And just the fact that we're here on the planet Earth, we wouldn't be here if we didn't belong here. If we weren't, we didn't need to be
Yeah.
here. If we didn't be here, to be honest, we wouldn't have been born at all. So there's
Mandy,
that sense of belonging as well.
may I invite you because what you say is really resonate about the how people communicate, and also I really love that part of you mentioned about in this kind of a Uranus is at the 29-degree Taurus is about to moving, and that this is not only thing we know, this is not the only outer planet changing sign. Before that we have Neptune, and then we have Saturn, and Jupiter. So nearly a lot of outer planet changing sign. But when you mentioned about this new moon, bring that sense of a belonging, and that we are belong. That was so important because all this change definitely going to make a lot of people wondering what
Mm.
who I am, why I'm here, and why everything is a look seems so everything is changing or very chaotic. But how could we work better with that
Mm.
sense of belonging? Could you explain and explore it, leading us to explore a little bit more about that? I really find
Yeah.
that is very important.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? And it's not an easy question to answer. If you look at the world at the moment, there's a lot of talk about immigrants and
Mhm,
migrants in the UK. There's a lot of talk about how do we stop migrants and
mhm,
illegal immigrants and asylum seekers coming
mhm,
so-called illegally to this country on these small boats.
mhm.
In America, there's been a clampdown on
Yes.
illegal immigrants, so-called illegal immigrants. I don't know
Mhm.
the whole nature of the status of these people because I
Yeah.
wouldn't make a judgment on that. So that's that sense of, well, where do I belong? What country do I belong in?
Mhm,
Do I belong, if say for example, I've lived in, there's cases that have come up where someone's lived in America. They
mhm,
might be undocumented, as they call it. They've lived in America, say, for 15, 20 years and built a family and have a
mhm,
job and have paid their taxes. And now some of them being told that they got to leave or they've been
mhm,
forcibly in some cases. So there's that sense of belonging is kind of, for a lot of people in the world, is really ruptured. And
mhm,
I was thinking about, just to go off, sorry, a little bit of a tangent, but I was thinking about it the other day. I was watching a nature program about migration, the
mhm,
migration of the herds of wildebeest, and also
mhm.
the migration of the herds even of dinosaurs going back 66 million years ago or
Yeah.
so. And there's a sense that, and I thought there's a sense that human beings as well, we are migrant beings. If you think back to prehistoric times, or even when we
Yes.
were hunter-gatherers, we would migrate to where the food is in a certain season, just like
Mhm.
birds do as well, and then go
Yes.
back where, but there is an issue with countries and borders, and Cancer is also about countries and and borders being breached. So there's that. I don't have an easy answer to that feeling of belonging, apart from what I've said before, which might feel a bit woo-woo, but that sense of you belong to yourself and you are here and
Mhm,
you deserve to be here, and everyone deserves to have a comfortable, safe life. Safety
mhm.
is another for Cancer, but I don't have an easy answer to that question. How about you, Rod? It's not
No,
easy, is it?
I know it's so difficult, but I really love the sense you mentioned about in the end of the day, we all belong to ourselves.
Hmm.
We don't, that is one thing that we have to, what I think is I want to bear in my mind if I am, a little bit hectic or a little bit, wondering who I am, where I am. Like, I cross borders so many times, I'm dual nationality. And even for the Taiwan, there would be the arguing about, are you Chinese? Are you Taiwanese? Are you Asian? Are you European? So this kind of question is very interesting for the world nowadays
Mm-hmm.
because people move around. In
Mm.
UK, we have so many different, races. We have a different migrant group, and then but you can sense that kind of slightly people, I say, you know now who are you, are you English or not,
Hmm.
or playing the question to the people who share different cultural heritage, like a couple of
Mm.
days ago in London, in North London, people dumped the rubbish on the street, flea tipping, and then that was like they've been fined by council. But when I read the comment on the Facebook, their few boys is quite uncomfortably blamed because they are migrant. I was like,
Mm.
ow, ooh. So
Yeah.
I was like, when you mentioned about because it's new one in Cancer, that kind of sense of belonging is so important. Maybe that would be
Mm.
an inner
Mm.
work we
Mm.
have to focus on.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I believe, and again, this is my own personal belief, my own personal values. I believe that wherever someone comes from, wherever they land up, you
Hmm.
know, your home base is in the UK now. Wherever someone lands up, I still think it's very important to for the individual, but also for everyone else around them and the country and the culture in general to respect, to
Hmm.
allow them to honor and respect their culture because of where they come from, whether that's the religion, the food, the customs, or whatever
Hmm.
that kind of culture might be, that we should respect people's culture. And
Yeah.
I think that again goes back to that Cancer, that this moon in Cancer and the sign of Cancer. Of course, we've just had the Cancer solstice as well, and
Yes.
we've got a whole month of the sun in Cancer as well. Even after this new moon is over, we've got this whole month of the sun in Cancer. So again, there's when we look at I think at Uranus going into Gemini,
Hmm.
it's like what we might be asked to say, decide what camp do you belong in,
Yes.
but surely you can have a sense of belonging and you can belong to the camp that loves, say, for example, someone
Hmm.
who first generation, second generation from another country into the UK, for example,
Hmm.
to love and respect and to
Hmm.
enjoy the British culture, but at the same time also be in the camp of following their own culture, their own religion,
Hmm.
their own family dynamics, their own customs, and all of that. I think there's room for that, and I think Uranus and Gemini might have something to say about that, not just about religion and culture and that kind of thing. Jupiter, don't forget, can be about religion too.
Yeah.
Jupiter is conjunct this new moon. So again, there's all these things to think about. And I
The
think we just have to be good people. I think we just have to be good people. We have to be
I
tolerant
agree.
people.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that astrology, if done well,
Hmm.
teaches when you look at 10,000, 100,000 charts, or however
Hmm.
many I haven't counted, but however many thousands of charts we've looked at between us, it teaches tolerance.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does teach tolerance. I mean, it doesn't apply to all astrology and all
Hmm.
astrologers, but it does when done with kindness and done with insight. It does
Yeah.
teach tolerance, and I think astrology has a lot to show the world.
I agree. I agree, especially with this Jupiter moving to Cancer and exaltation in Cancer. Although, I mean, Marcus is not here today. If that he can tell us a lot of the from traditional astrology perspective about Jupiter in Cancer. But from
Mhm.
my view, I think that Jupiter's love, the Cancer is about the love to the people around you, people who share the similar like a bloodline or family or similar culture to you. But the Jupiter going to expand it. So with
Hmm.
that, we need Jupiter's another quality is kind of the just and inclusion. Jupiter,
Yeah.
one thing about Jupiter is it include everything in, and somehow it does look like a little bit chaotic, right? Just like I don't care, you just belong to here. Everyone comes in. Maybe I really hope that Jupiter in
Hmm.
Cancer conjunct this new moon would bring something that
Mm.
to make
Hope,
yeah, hope that we definitely
optimism, faith in the future, and trust that everything's going to be okay. But we
definitely.
also need to think about if something seems too good to be true, it might be too good to be true. Hello, he's having a scratch now.
Okay, I think it's but I think a mistake is to remind us about the time to change to some interesting subject. But before we move to that, because I think it would be nice we talk about the Uranus is going to move into Gemini very soon. Before I switch to that, I want to share a part of my observation of this new moon very quickly because it's related to fixed stars. And that this new moon actually, I think, 4 degree of Cancer, it is aligned with the fixed stars in the constellation Gemini constellation, because for the precession. So even we are in the tropical Cancer, what I mean is a tropical zodiac in Cancer, but the position in the sky is still belong to the Gemini constellation, and that a fixed star on the feet of Castro is very close to this new moon called Propus. Propus. Very interesting fixed stars in the Latin. The name of this star is means forward foot. Forward foot. So it's a foot move forward is a very positive, like that Mars,
Yeah,
right? And the Jupiter energy is a very beautiful. Okay, but interesting. I think the purpose is not only an idea of the forward food, but also I think there some astrologers say there is ability to express idea in a reasonable and accessible way to benefit each other. I really love this idea because it's a little
sounds
bit,
lovely.
yes,
Yeah, we need that, don't we? We need some.
agree.
We need some. In the world needs some peace talks, for example,
Oh
done
yes.
in a good way, and putting the best foot forward. I like that.
Yeah.
But, we
So
can all put. We can always strive. We can all strive to put our best foot forward.
I agree. I agree. So, do you want to share a little bit about the some your observation and your study about the coming up Uranus moving to Gemini?
Yeah. 7th of July, although if you're in Australian parts of Asia, it'll be the 6th of July. So very
Okay.
soon, imminently, we've got Uranus moving into Gemini for 7 years, 2025 this year, obviously till 2033.
Yeah, something
And
like that.
Uranus is obviously associated with revolution, so revolutionary ideas,
Hmm.
Uranus in Gemini, with change, with freedom, with the push for independence. And then if you look at when the last time that Uranus was in Gemini, it was in 1941 to 1949,
Hmm.
round about the time that America joined World War II,
Yes.
and then going through to 1949, the post-war period. Also, Uranus was in Gemini at the beginning of the Civil War, the Revolutionary War in
Hmm.
the US as well. So that doesn't sound like a great omen.
Unfortunately, not.
We look at as people know, and as you know, obviously, Rod, and you're an expert in mundane astrology. We look
Cycles.
at the past
Yes,
configurations to see the
indeed.
theme. Doesn't mean this time there's going to be. I mean, there are wars going on, but
Yeah.
and America, as we know, very recently
Yeah.
got involved with Israel and Iran.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's going to be all out world war. We hope not, anyway. But when we look at Uranus in Gemini, changes and revolution around freedom of speech, which is a big hot topic, it has been a big hot topic for a long time,
Yes.
around any kind of communication, around travel, around schooling and teaching. There's going to be big changes, I think, around the way how people learn and how people are taught through education, especially with technology being as it
Mm-hmm.
is, and the acceptance and the ever increasing use of artificial intelligence and how that's going to affect students and anyone learning. Information,
Mm-hmm.
where do we get our information from?
Yes.
News and media as
Mm-hmm.
well. Where is the truth? Uranus is unpredictable. We
Mm-hmm.
do say, and it's not a cop out as astrology as well. You can't really predict what's going to happen in Uranus with Uranus because it's unpredictable. That's not strictly true because there are obviously symbolic themes that we can work with and we can express it in that way. But I think siblings and neighbors as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's another theme for Gemini, Uranus in Gemini. And when we talk about neighbors, we talk about our neighbors, neighboring
Mm-hmm.
countries as well, and
Yes.
going back to country borders and people that infractions on country borders.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also the planet of awakening as well.
Mm.
Uranus shakes us up and it wakes us up. It shakes sometimes the foundations of what we believe in and it wakes us up. So there's an opportunity there to see things differently, to see things from the other side because it's Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
Gemini, what's the truth of things? But we realize, hopefully, we'll come to a better understanding that what we believe is our truth is very much subjective, and that there's always two or even more sides with Gemini. I think another thing as well, we're going to see more news around gender issues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you're, we have Gemini's, obviously the twins.
Yeah.
Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is obviously was could take on Mercury traditionally can take on either gender.
Yes.
In traditional astrology, most of the planets have a gender.
Yeah.
Mars is male and Venus is female, but Mercury is the only one that doesn't have a fixed gender. So
Mm-hmm.
with Uranus in January, we're going to see an awakening. Hopefully, we're going to see a positive. From my point of view, this is my own bias, but hopefully, we'll see a positive awakening around gender issues and choice
Mm-hmm.
around gender is expressed. And it could also be around where ideas and opinions are unreconcilable as well, which can cause a lot of friction.
Yeah.
So there's a few little ideas. It's conjunct, I looked at the chart for the ingress
Mm-hmm.
of Uranus into Gemini and it's conjunct Venus in Gemini.
Oh,
So that ties into our values as well. So
yes.
do your ideas, your opinions, or what you hear and believe, do they align? We can always ask ourselves the question, do they align with our core values?
Mm.
And what's the value of trying to see things from both sides or from different sides? And also, I think particularly with Uranus in Gemini, and things are going to there's going to be Gemini is a fast energy, so things
Mm-hmm.
are going to change quickly. It's going to be hard to keep up,
Yeah.
perhaps potentially as well. Things are there's something new, and there's something new. Technology, of course, is going to be
Mm-hmm.
whoa. New things in technology are going to be coming up, so we need to have the flexibility. We need to have mental flexibility, which might be a bit
Mm.
harder for the more people with more fixed signs in the
Yes.
chart. But we might get a little bit confusing. We might need to constantly be changing our minds on things. But I always say, what's the point of having a mind if you can't change it?
I
But
like
then
that.
I have Mer- but then I have Mercury in a mutable sign, so I change
All
my
right.
mind. I change my mind just like the weather changes really sometimes. But as well, it's also Uranus ingresses into Gemini opposite the moon in Sagittarius. And if we're
Oh.
talking, yeah, so if we're talking in terms of mundane astrology, that moon in Sagittarius says something about the mood of the people
Mm-hmm.
and the mood of the people wanting growth, wanting hope, wanting
Move forward.
want to move forward, want to move on, move forward. So there's a few ideas. It's also going to be Trump's Uranus return in 2029 because he has
Yes.
Gemini in his birth chart. But that's a way off. He will probably be out of office by then unless he bends the law and has another term. But yeah.
Whoa. Well, so interesting. Well, I think this Uranus move to Gemini really, really we can see one side, we can expecting things change very fast, and we change our mind very fast too. But in another way, from the history record, that does have a lot of kind of a conflict, a huge conflict,
Mm,
like
mm,
during that time was between not really Uranus in the end of when Uranus was the end of Gemini and the beginning of Cancer was like the split up, the Hindu India and Pakistan, and then China and Taiwan, and was
mm,
split up into two parts that time. So there's kind of, they kind of break up with that Uranus game, that kind of thing. And then when Uranus come back to here again, we can see all this area is
yeah.
kind of there's a hint there. So well, we have to prepare ourselves, but also I think maybe we can consider our way Gemini is communication and our relationship with our neighbor, as you mentioned, our neighbor country. How are we going to build up a better world?
Mm,
We already learned from history. There's so many well, stupid things we can repeat. But I think if we want a better world, maybe we have to learn to change our mind. I think that
mhm.
would be a really, really good way. Well, thank you, Mandy, today to join us today to bring this Cancer New Moon, and also very insightful about that belonging to yourself. I really love the sentence. I think I want to work a little bit on that because with I'm also Cancer rising, so I can feel that I need an anchor. I need an anchor from this moment that everything's changed. I need at least find an anchor that home inside my
Mm,
heart, which way, how I feel home, so I can feel more stable and then continue to work on the things I love, like astrology. Maybe astrology is one of my anchor that anchor me
mm.
to continue move forward. Well, thank you, Mandy. And well, Marcus is not here, but we miss you. Hope you join us next time. And for people who want to join us for the mundane astrology discussion, we move this episode of mundane astrology to the 11th of July. Welcome to join us. Also, I have a news for everyone on the Saturday, 12th of July, uh, um, Liam McCarthy going to bring us a webinar with a harmonic astrology. So if you are ever into this harmonic technique, please come to join us because it is a donation based. So you give what you can because we try to practice this mode. So more people can benefit from this. You don't really need to pay a lot of money to learn the certain technique, but if you are willing to contribute a little bit to encourage us to continue working on this mode, please come to join us. And Lian is a really great speaker, and also harmonic is a very, very interesting technique to learn. Okay, well, thank you,
Yeah, that's going to be a
Mandy.
good talk.
Oh
That's going to be a
yes.
really good. I mean, Leanne is a brilliant astrologer and she really does her research. And I don't know what's going to be in her talk, but I know there'll be some amazing, really incredible examples that illustrate her points. She's
Oh
really good at
yes.
research.
I just
Yeah,
remind me one
really brings
thing.
it to life. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need you to remind me one thing. I would nearly forget that. I was a keep
Mhm.
remind myself I should do that. Leanne has her book Juno just published, but so as Monday. So could you just remind us your book on Amazon?
Yeah, of course. So oh, you can see it back to front here. It's the On Purpose Life, your guide to finding and living your life purpose. It's available. Just put my name, Mandy, spelt with an I
Uh-huh.
rather than a Y, Mandy Lockley, in Amazon, paperback and Kindle. And it's basically it's not an astrology book. There is an astrology book forthcoming at some point, but this isn't an astrology book. It's about what is life purpose, how do you ask the question, what's my life purpose? How do you put that into action? How do you use your energy in really creative ways to bring your purpose in? How do you remove some of the blocks to your purpose, some of these self-doubt and self-limiting
Mhm.
beliefs and that kind of thing? It's chock full of exercises, of tools, of all sorts of inspiring things. And yeah, it took me about 3 years to write. It was going to take 6 months, but what actually transpired as I wrote it. I found myself going through
Wow.
process that kind of evolved naturally,
Hmm.
and that process is in this book. It's a kind of a structured process as well, that one step at a time in terms of
Thank
finding.
you.
So yes, thank you for letting me give that a little bit of a plug.
No, because it's really useful with those exercises. Usually it's just discussion and idea, but then this book
Mhm.
also brings some exercise you can practice.
Mm,
That definitely it would be very, very helpful to everyone who is interested on this subject.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, one of the exercises that's in the book, I'll give you. I won't tell you what the
please.
exercise is because it'll take too long.
Okay.
But the
Yeah.
example is how to, obviously, when you are starting to act on living your purpose, whatever your purpose is, and it might not just be one thing. It might be something that changes as you evolve and grow. Decisions have to be made, what to do, what to act upon, and so
Hmm.
there's a fantastic exercise. It probably take a little while to do it, but well worth the effort. Is learning to use your head brain, your gut brain,
Mm.
and your heart brain. There are actually neurons in your gut and in your heart. So we actually have three brains, and they all have a different
Oh,
purpose. So learning to use that, and also there's also exercises for learning to connect to your heart space again, which is can be very useful, and all sorts of other things, and affirmations, and all sorts
definitely.
of stuff. Loads packed full of stuff. So
I'm
yeah,
so
thanks, Rod.
excited. Thanks so excited. Have you noticed? Have you noticed when you talk about this, your joy is sparkling and a kind of a spread out. That energy really
Oh,
spread out. I can
oh,
feel it. I can feel you
oh.
really passionate about this book. So I
Well,
really hope.
part of the book is about lifting yourself up into that vibration of joy and of
Yeah.
love and of enthusiasm and all those positive things. And when you're in more of that state more often, obviously it's not, sometimes we all have
Yeah.
off days, of course, but when you can put yourself in that state and you can consciously put yourself in that state, when you can do it more often, that's when the good stuff starts to come in.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you. And well, see you next month then, okay? And see you, Mystic. Bye.